Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the special city council meeting for Monday, June 23rd, 2025. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay. We'll take care of a little unfinished business here. This consideration of the second reading of an ordinance 603, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budgets as it relates to the Park and Rec fee schedule. Mr. Funderburk, if you would, please, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the ordinance before you for consideration tonight would add a $70 non-city charge to all of our youth recreation sports for anyone not living inside the city. This, as y'all have discussed this at length in prior meetings, this is due to the county significantly reducing the funding that would be coming to the city. It appears, based on meetings that Dustin and I were able to conduct last week, City of Rock Hill and the town of Fort Mill are also considering doing the same and having those conversations, whereas it looks like Rock Hill would probably do theirs within the next week or two, and town of Fort Mill is having that as part of their budget conversations. So their fees would not go, any fee adjustments that they do would not go into effect until October 1st at the start of their fiscal year. It's not where we want to be, but it does help close that revenue gap that the county has placed on us. The county did confirm with us at our meeting on Friday that it would be $100 per unincorporated York County child would be the stipend. They proposed doing a 3-year IGA that their council would approve July 21st if that is the route the council wanted to go. But we would have to keep all fees equal as far as in-city, out-of-city. They expressed that we did ask them, why would you not fund everybody, all non-city participants, like if they're coming from other cities and things like that, since you no longer have the rec tax district where it's just being generated by the unincorporated properties. They informed us that they were not funding this through their general fund, that they were going to, and they said the same as much to Fort Mill today, that they are funding it through their hospitality and accommodations tax is where they are getting those funds. Council, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the legalities of that. I have asked our attorney to look at it, but section 6-1-730 is the H-tax code with the state. It gives 8 things that you can really spend that money on, and funding local youth recreation inside your county is not even close to being on that list. I'm not as familiar with accommodations tax, but it does have an oversight group. It's called the Turk Committee. It's tourism and I forget. Basically, they review all the quarterly reports that come in on A-tax. And I've been told very specifically, you can't spend A-tax money on this. I do not feel comfortable as your city manager in entertaining a intergovernmental agreement if all of a sudden the county does find out that, oh, we can't spend that H-tax money that way or that A-tax money that way, then where's the money coming from? It makes me very, very nervous to do that. Again, waiting. Our attorney is looking into it for me. I had the conversation with him this morning. Hopefully in the next couple of days I'll know something, but based on, at least on the H-tax side of things, I just don't see how you can fund that, that's an appropriate spend. I don't see how that is tourism related, which is really what your H-tax is for. Tourist related events, tourist related facilities, roads leading to those facilities. They give you a pretty wide breadth of what you can do. They've just recently, mainly because of the coastal areas, you can do stormwater as it affects tourism. If you've ever been to the beach in the summertime and you get a rain, a lot of standing water everywhere. So that has been recently added within the last few years, but this doesn't check any of those boxes. So I'm not sure how they're planning on pulling that off, but I just don't think it's a good move for us personally. When you look at our numbers, and Dustin reran it based off numbers that we know, you've got fall of 24 and spring of 25 since those registrations are completed. We asked the COG to map those, and we've got 1,824 unincorporated York County participants with us. So at $100, that brings you up to $182,400. At doing the stipend, again, assuming those numbers stay the same, which we don't think that they will. At a minimum, we think potentially a number of the folks living in Masons Bend may start going over to Fort Mill since they are residents of the town of Fort Mill. We've got 250, 300 kids this season that are coming out of Masons Bend. That's great. We've got a number of coaches that are coming out of Masons Bend, and that's great. But so those folks may, technically have a different option to go over to Fort Mill, and it would cost them less. They may decide to stay here, but if we just use those numbers from fall of 24 and spring of 25, that comes up to $217,900. Our 3-year average from the county was $208,000. So we're covering that deficit in revenue, if you will. Hate doing it. Y'all have expressed this time and time again in y'all's discussions, and I think y'all are on the same page, but I just feel like the county hasn't left us any other option. It's either that or operate at a deficit. And that's, I don't know how you can do that. And still be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers, that live here in the city. I just don't see how we can do that. So that's what you got before you tonight is the second and final read. It will go into effect July 1, which is when our open registration starts. We'll monitor the situation, and who knows, as part of the upcoming budget ordinance, we'll see how big of an impact it has on us, both positive and negative, and report that back to you as we get a little bit closer to approving our fiscal year 26 budgets. So,
Charlie, 2 questions, if I may.
yes, sir.
Once you get legal advice from Chaplin, will you be able to share that with us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely will.
Second question, and maybe this is maybe more for Dustin, because you probably were a little bit more intimate with the numbers. If the 250 kids out of Masons Bend and the coaches decide to go to Fort Mill, my understanding is, as it stands now, they would still have about the same fees for the spring program as we would for the fall program. Is that right? So their fees in Fort Mill would be cheaper in this fall, right?
Correct, yes. So they're
So they approve their budget?
Correct, yeah. They're not anticipating and changing their fees. If they do go with a higher fee, that it wouldn't happen until the winter season. So
So
basketball.
we're anticipating them changing that in their budget, and that would take effect for the winter
Winter,
or
correct.
spring
So,
season,
yeah,
right?
so it would not take into effect this fall season.
So if they know that, then there might be less attrition of folks say, well, we'll go to Fort Mill.
Well, except
So
for
the fees are the
they're
same.
Fort Mill residents living in Masons Bend.
But they're currently coming here, right?
They're currently coming here, correct.
Okay.
I mean, they're 5 minutes from Catawba Park.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes sense, but.
Well, they're coming here for a good reason, and we got great programs.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And and it's just a guess, that we could lose some of those. We may not. We may only lose a handful. Time will tell. Time will absolutely tell.
Yeah, we're glad to have them. I hope they stay.
Yes, sir.
One question, I know we talked about this offline, but just for everyone's benefit, the potential down the road, if at least us, Fort Mill and Rock Hill, all go with this type of model, we could potentially explore, but my idea, we could potentially explore an intergovernmental agreement between the 3 municipalities where our residents can play in Fort Mill can play here, and Rock Hill without the extra fee.
We've actually had those conversations at the staff level, that specifically with the other cities and everything. In theory, yes. The hurdle that we'd have to try to get across is just with the software capabilities, right? To where, how we can figure that out with the software provider.
And let me jump in too. So,
Yep.
so we're actually in talks with our with Civic Rec, which is our recreation program. I know the city of Rock Hill has engaged in some communication with them in terms of being able to geofence all the areas, because one of their biggest issues, it's not as much for us as it is for some Fort Mill and Rock Hill, is they have those donut holes where you could have one half of the street is incorporated, the other half of the street is county. So those are kind of the hurdles that we're experiencing with the software. So we're hoping that we're able to, at least on the back end, if they're able to do it, geofence, so we can actually determine what's the incorporated and what's unincorporated areas. The only drawback to your point, Councilman Heislip, is if we do that, just in terms of looking at the fee, it's about $50,000. If we take out, just so that you have that, those notes based on the numbers that we have, that's about the number we would, if we take out the $70 fee from all your incorporated areas. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that idea, because I think that's the goal, is we want people to play in the program that they want to play in. If someone wants to drive from almost the other side of Fort Mill and Indian to play in our program, if someone wants to go down to Rock Hill and play in their program from up here, I think that's our goal at the end of the day too. So I think that's an option potentially.
I think for me, my biggest concern, or what I'm taking the most weight on, is the fact that they're offering a 3-year, but there's an uncertainty about whether those funds can actually be used that way. I would really hate for us to go in a direction that keeps us dependent on a lot of ifs, and then have to redo our entire program because all of a sudden those funds may not be available after all. I think, actually, I wrote the email, but I didn't send it to you. I just realized that. But that was my point in sending you that email, was that I'm all for being independent and being able to track our own program, and being able to have those people that are joining the program see the value in it. I don't want it to ever be a money-making proposition, but definitely there is value, not just in the fact that kids can come and play here, but in what they're being taught, who the coaching staff is, and what those programs are offering. And I don't want to make a decision that is not sustainable, and it feels like it's not sustainable to take the easy road and say, you know what, let's just take that stipend and then let them tell us what to do from here forward.
Do we have any further discussion? Need to make a motion. Do we have a motion?
I got it here. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 603, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budgets as it relates to the Parks and Recreation fee schedule.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you for what you guys have done to put into this, get us to an informed decision.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, we appreciate y'all too.
I'm just sorry that the county decided to take a hard line on this and mess with something that's been working for 20 years. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep, for no reason.
So it's detriment to our children that they've decided to go this route. I'm glad that we have a great Park and Rec director that can show us the way to go. Thank you, Charlie, for the legwork that you put into this. Thank you, council, for the legwork that everyone's put into this as well. I know this has been a topic that it's quite disheartening for a lot of us, because we want to work with the county, and the county now is turning and doesn't want to work with us. So I hope that the county will see with this that we're better to work together and not better to work apart. So I hope that we can, all of us can come together and start working better together. And in that, the message to the county, I think, is clear from the cities that we don't want you in our pockets anymore. So appreciate everybody's work on this. Good job, guys.
Yep.
Ladies. Thank you. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are in adjournment.